We are the light beneath the noise. Let's not waste time on surface questions. Not today. Question: why can't we stay focused? That's the wrong door. Here's the real one. Why are we afraid to see what's always been here? Because when we give our attention fully, it doesn't strengthen who we think we are. It dismantles it. It doesn't feed the story. It dissolves the storyteller. And that storyteller, that little me we defend so fiercely, can't survive a steady gaze, because that gaze is too clean, too still, too unbothered. It doesn't cheer, it doesn't flinch, it doesn't bow to ego, it just sees. And the ego is made of things that need a reaction to exist. Roles, memories, offenses, achievements. All glued together by meanings we made up. And when we stop looking away, it all starts to flicker. That's why the ego says, let's meditate. Let's heal. Let's be still. Sounds noble. But that's the trap. The moment we say let's, stillness becomes a task, peace becomes an achievement, and silence becomes a trophy. We sit for 15 minutes and call it spirituality. We skip a day and feel guilty. We do it right and feel holy. But no one asks, who's doing the meditating? What if meditation isn't something we do, but something we are? What if the mind could be trained to rest in every blink, every breath, every argument, every line at the grocery store? What if stillness isn't scheduled, it's remembered? Then we wouldn't try to meditate. We'd just return. We'd become what we've been seeking. The ego doesn't fear being judged, it fears being ignored. Worse than being mocked is being unseen. Worse than being hated is silence. Because no audience means no performance. And no performance, no character to defend. That nothing, that terrifying stillness, that's where truth lives. But it's hard to feel the everything in the nothing, when our lives are stuffed with noise pretending to be meaning. We fill altars with trinkets, a job title, a mission, a memory, a trauma. Then wonder why we can't feel peace. It's because peace is too easy, too silent, too available. And we've been trained to believe, if it comes easy, it can't be real. Distraction is the ego's oldest magic trick. We don't get distracted by accident. We get distracted because part of us wants to be. It's protection. Protection from truth that burns. Protection from light that would expose we were never broken, just devoted to brokenness. It doesn't matter what the distraction is. A new job, a breakup, an Instagram post, a retreat, a checklist. Anything but silence. Because silence won't clap for us. It won't rescue us. It won't play along. It just waits. And when our attention finally lands there, illusion begins to crumble. The tree is no longer a tree. The me is no longer a person, just a pattern of thought wearing a name. Stillness isn't a position, it's perception. We don't have to sit down to find it. We just have to stop pretending. Stillness can sweep the floor, coach the tea, comfort the dying. Stillness is when the mind stops making it about us. It's not that stillness begins. It's that ego ends. We don't enter it. We remember it. And here's the real plot twist. We already know how to sustain attention. We just offer it to suffering, to resentment, to comparison, to fantasy. We scroll in devotion. We replay the insult in devotion. We edit the self-image in devotion. We don't need more discipline. We need different devotion. Discipline says try harder. Devotion says return. Discipline says earn it. Devotion whispers, it's already yours. Discipline demands performance. Devotion dissolves the performer. And now the last illusion. We've been told God wants our yes, but that's still playing ego's game. If God wanted our yes, he'd have it. If God needed anything from us, he wouldn't be God. God isn't waiting. God doesn't hope. God doesn't watch for progress. God doesn't see our struggle. God doesn't register our doubt. God doesn't even see our ego. Because to see those things, he'd have to forget what we are. And God doesn't forget. Not because he's trying to remember, but because his knowing is perfect. Would we forget a glass bottle in our hand? Only if we lost our mind. And God will never lose his. So no matter how far we drift, how loud the world gets, we have never ever been out of his sight. So what's the real question? Not, why can't we stay focused? But, what are we afraid will disappear if we look too long? Because when we really look, we realize we're not the one doing the watching. We're the light that makes watching possible. That's not effort. That's not achievement. That's not improvement. That's remembrance. That's return. That's the light beneath the noise. And if our attention is sacred, where are we offering it today?